The PPV wars are about to get very interesting because the new Ford Everest is finally here, decked in full battle gear and ready to take on the competition. But is it as groundbreaking as the previous Everest? And is it worth its 2.5 million peso price tag? Let's find out. Here in the Philippines, we'll get 5 variants of the Everest: the Trend, the Sport, the Limited, and the 2 Titanium variants. This right here is the one at the top of the pecking order. This is the Everest Titanium 4x4. This gets all the bells and whistles, and in this video, we'll do a walk around and we'll also do a quick driving impressions video. Like the new Ranger, the new Everest is also based on the last generation's T6 platform, but so many things have been changed that this might as well be called a new model. The boxier design and the new C-shaped headlamps ties the new Ford Everest with the rest of Ford's American lineup. The front of the new Everest looks a bit more subdued compared to the Ranger. You don't get the bull bar-like frame around the grille. Instead, you get a cleaner and sharper looking bumper. You get this chrome finished horizontal element on the grille, which spans almost the entire width of the car. And you have these LED headlamps clamped on both ends of it. By the way, these are adaptive headlamps, which means that when you turn the wheel, the light beam also turns, so you can better see your path. These are the high beams, and these are the low beams. And you have LED fog lamps down here. The Ford Everest Titanium 4x4 gets 20-inch wheels wrapped in 255 series Goodyear Wrangler tires. These are highway terrain tires. By the way, the track of the new Everest is 50 millimeters or about 2 inches wider than the old Everest. The chassis is still the same as the old T6, but the suspension arms have been made longer, and that helps improve suspension travel and also articulation when you're going off-road. It gets disc brakes on all 4 corners. The suspension at the front is a double wishbone setup, and at the back it gets a rigid axle with coil springs. The Everest also gets a boxier side profile. You get plenty of chrome accents here. You get chrome accents on the door handles, also on the side mirrors, the window line. You even get chrome accents on the step boards. So here at the back you get LED tail lamps. Like the old Everest, this also gets a power liftgate. And like the previous Everest, this also gets power folding third row seats. You now get 39 more liters of cargo space with the third row seats down, and the opening is 30 millimeters wider. Ford no longer offers the 2.2-liter engine of the previous generation. We now only have 2 engine options. The top-of-the-line 4x4 Titanium gets the 2-liter bi-turbo, which produces 207 horsepower and 500 Newton-meters of torque. And the other variants get the 2-liter single-turbo, which produces 167 horsepower and 405 Newton-meters of torque. The engines are mostly the same, save for a few tweaks, which could be a good thing because you have fewer unknowns and the kinks have probably been ironed out. The top of the line gets a 10-speed transmission, while the rest gets 6-speed automatics. There is no manual option. Okay, let's step inside. So the Everest Titanium 4x4 comes with power seats for both the driver and the passenger. You get adjustable lumbar support for the driver. Of course, you get a leather wrapped interior. This is the top of the line model after all. Now the interior looks surprisingly similar to the Ranger's interior. Actually, it looks almost the same. You do get ambient lighting here. I'm not sure if you get that on the Ranger. So the most significant change here is the shifter. The Ranger gets a mechanical shifter. This is fully electronic. Of course, the highlight of the interior is this massive 12-inch screen. This has Apple CarPlay. This has Android Auto. It also has a 360 camera. It's also in vertical orientation, which you don't see very often on cars. This is mostly a positive thing, but it also has drawbacks, which we'll talk about later. Thankfully, you get knobs and physical buttons for your climate control over here, but as you'll see later, a lot of the physical buttons have been transferred to the screen. You also now got an 8-inch instrument cluster. You get a wireless phone charger over here. Now, this part over here, the center console, is exactly the same as the Ranger, and it's made of hard plastic. Now, I wish they made this out of more premium looking materials. This knob over here is for your different drive modes, which again we'll talk about later on our test drive. Yeah, this is just a short first impressions video. We'll do a more thorough review in the future. You got 2 glove boxes, one at the top, one at the bottom, and surprisingly it's also not dampened. You get this wood accent over here. You get this aluminum looking accent over here around the air vents. You also got some piano black accents over here. You get this chunky looking leather wrapped steering wheel, although it's not as soft as on the previous Ranger. Plenty of buttons on it. This has Ford's full suite of advanced safety features and active safety features. So the armrest is leather wrapped and padded. You get plenty of storage underneath. You also get one 12-volt outlet down here, 2 cup holders over here. You get the same cup holders next to the air vents as the Ranger, which is quite complex looking. You don't get any paddle shifters. You shift using the shift knob. Yeah, in terms of materials, this is hard plastic over here, this is soft padded, this over here is soft padded, this is leather wrapped over here. You got leather wrapped armrests. The door opener it looks like this. It's similar to the Expedition, and you also get a panoramic sunroof, and this is the only PPV in the segment that comes with a panoramic sunroof. Yeah, it looks nice, although I wish they made it a bit nicer than the interior of the Ranger Wildtrak. Okay, so here at the second row now, definitely the panoramic sunroof helps improve the ambiance over here. You get one USB-A port over here, one USB-C port, one AC outlet for powering your laptop. You also got a fan speed knob over here. Your air vents are up here, you can see that, and also up here. You got a foldable center armrest with 2 cup holders. The second row seats can be moved forward and back, and of course they can be reclined like so. Curiously, you get buttons over here for locking or unlocking all the doors. Space is not an issue. I have about 3 inches of headroom, and the panoramic sunroof definitely eats a bit into my headroom, but I still get more headroom than the the Toyota Fortuner. Okay, so here at the third row, I don't have a lot of space. Legroom is adjustable, but as you can see, it's already been adjusted forward. I can barely fit a finger on top of my head, so definitely it's less spacious than the Isuzu MU-X. You do get 1 cup holder over here, another one on the other side, 2 air vents up here. On paper, the Ford Everest is the most complete PPV when it comes to tech features. This gets every driver aid that you can get on a modern vehicle. It has lane departure warning, autonomous emergency braking, blind spot warning, rear cross traffic alert, and adaptive cruise control.
There.
Neutral.
Neutral. Let go everything and press. And
Like the
hold.
old Everest, the new one also has automatic parking. But because it now has an electronic shifter, automatic parking is now fully autonomous. Meaning it will shift from drive to reverse and then back again without intervention from the driver. It also applies the brakes automatically.
Yeah, kaya. Walang problema. Kaya, malayo pa yan. Trusting shoes strong. I was asking them, so
Yeah.
if the insurance, no? Kung may nangyari, you can actually say, I wasn't driving. I was just pressing the button. Di ba? There. What's that?
Yeah.
Trippy. You can see the driving modes there. Yeah, normal, twist, eco mode, slippery, mud.
This one? Aside from 2 high, 4 high, and 4 low, the Everest also has multiple driving modes. We're gonna take it off-road, so we'll set it to mud. In this mode, the rear differential is automatically locked. Surprisingly, the ride is not that jarring, even though it looks like it should be. The suspension feels soft. It does a very good job of absorbing the bumps. And you don't get that brain in a blender feeling that you get on some other PPVs. The new Everest's wider stance and its increased suspension travel definitely help when going over surfaces like this. You get better articulation, and the differential lock helps ensure that power is sent to both rear wheels at all times. Next, we drive the Everest over this very steep ramp. Now, we also did this back in 2019 with the previous Everest, but this time we have some brand spanking new tech, which makes this a lot easier. Now, the ramp is about 30 degrees, but from inside the car, it might as well be vertical. You could see nothing but sky. And this is where having a 360 camera would help. You could see the ground beneath you, and you could tell if you're pointing at the right direction without needing spotters. By the way, the 2-liter bi-turbo engine has more than enough power to make this uphill ascent easy.
Okay, so now we ask the help of the car again. Go to off-road, hill descent.
There's no physical button, right?
None.
Yeah. The Everest has hill descent control, which is very helpful when going down steep ramps like this. Now, this test highlights the over-reliance of the new Ranger on the new screen. There is no physical button for hill descent control, and as you can see, we had to close the camera just so we could access the hill descent control button. Now, this may not be a feature that you will need to access very often, unless you do a lot of off-roading, so this might be forgivable. But also, apparently, the auto-hold brake function is also on the screen, which I wasn't able to find. So yeah, that could be a problem for some people. This pool of water over here is 800 millimeters deep, which is exactly the wading depth of the Ford Everest. Now, I would expect Ford to have a bit of an allowance in case one of us decides to drive the Everest a bit too enthusiastically, but no. They set it exactly at 800 millimeters, which could either mean that they really trust the public, or it still has plenty of allowance left. Now, given that the new Ranger is a bit higher than the outgoing model, I wouldn't be surprised if the actual wading depth is more than 800 millimeters. The new Ford Everest Titanium 4x4 sells for 2,495,000 pesos, which may seem expensive, but it's actually the same price as other top-of-the-line PPVs. The Ford Everest was my pick for the best PPV of 2019 because it was so far ahead of the competition in terms of refinement, performance, and tech features. But is the new Everest as good in 2022 as the previous Everest was in 2019? That's a question that I will answer when I get to spend more time with the vehicle. But so far, it's looking pretty good. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.